Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol, and welcome to my kitchen. Many of you have written to me and said, Chef Gail, you make these beautiful things, but they're too big for my family, and I can't eat them all, so I don't want to make it. But you know what? Today is for you, because we're making the just right sized cake, just for you. It's not too big, it's not too tiny, it's just right, and it's spectacular. It's a chocolate fudge cake. It's delicious, and it's super easy to make. So the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I have sprayed a 9 by 9 inch square baking pan, something you might bake brownies in, with nonstick cooking spray, and put it aside. I also have 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and I've taken 1 cup of all-purpose flour in a small bowl, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon plus 1/8 teaspoon of baking soda. So we're getting our dry ingredients together. So we're getting our mise en place. Even though it's a just right sized cake, we've still got to do our homework, right? And get our mise en place ready. Getting everything in its place, ready to go. This cake uses the creaming method, very easy, all right, and makes a beautiful light crumb. So you're going to whisk all these together because you want your baking soda and your salt to be evenly blended in for perfect leavening and flavor. I've also taken 1½ ounces of unsweetened chocolate and melted it over a double boiler. All right, so I'm going to get rid of my bottom part of my double boiler, and I'm just going to have this dried, and this is slightly cooled, all right, which is good. That's exactly what we want. And the other thing I have is 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of very cold coffee. Could be espresso, could be strong coffee, and if you don't like coffee, you could use orange juice, you could use water, anything you want. Coffee and chocolate go together like peanut butter and jelly. Over here, I have 1 cup of granulated sugar, and I've taken 2 tablespoons out of that 1 cup. So it's 1 cup minus 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to put it into my electric mixer to get our creaming started. And I have 5½ tablespoons of softened, very soft, unsalted butter. Put that in there, and that's nice and soft. You can see that. And I have an egg in the wings here, not adding it just yet, and 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, all ready to go. So I'm going to put my paddle attachment on and get my butter and my sugar. You remember, that's the creaming method. You want to get your butter and sugar creamed so that you're creating air and aerating your fat, your butter, and the sugar's pushing and pushing and pushing with those granules and actually adding air into your butter. How do you know when it's ready? When the butter turns sort of a pale yellow or almost white. And this is not going to get as light and creamy as you would normally get with a larger cake because our butter and sugar ratio is a little bit smaller. So once I let that go for a while, and like I said, it's not going to be light and fluffy like you might expect. You're just going to let it go and get that color change. You're going to add your egg and your vanilla, and I would do that on low speed. Add all that together. And then we're going to add our chocolate next. So once our egg gets evenly incorporated, and it is, we're going to go on low speed. I'm going to add my chocolate. Make sure you wipe that top bowl of your double boiler or you're going to get water in there and actually create more liquid than you actually need. So I'm going to add this. See if I can do it delicately. Okay. This cake is so perfect. So perfect. I was going to call it a Goldilocks cake because it's just right. And it's chocolatey and it's delicious. just perfect. And I'm just going to wipe down the sides of the bowl. So even if you're making this just for you, that would work out nicely as well. Or you have one other person in your family, or maybe up to 4 people in your family. Or you're expecting some company for dinner. This would do the trick. All right. Low speed again. And now the creaming method of mixing says to alternate dry and wet ingredients. Here's our wet ingredient, our coffee, our cold coffee. And it has to be cold because you don't want it to melt the butter, because the butter has the air in it already, and we want it to work with the baking soda as a team player, so it helps get that perfect texture of our cake. So now on low speed, you always start with your dry ingredients. So we're going to do half the flour. It's only 1 cup, so we're just going to do half the flour, low speed. And then you're going to stop. And whenever you think the ingredients sort of bunch up on the sides, you can take your rubber spatula and push it down. I'm going to take half my coffee and put that in there. Don't go too fast because you don't want it to splash back at you. All right. And I may give it a little go around with my rubber spatula. You don't want to overmix once you start adding your flour mixture, because remember, the wheat flour, where our all-purpose flour comes from, the wheat plant, actually can create gluten. And it has gluten-forming proteins that can create toughness. And we don't want toughness. We just want enough structure. So now we're going to add, we started with our flour, then we added our coffee. Now we're going to add a little bit more flour. And at this point, it's such a small amount, just add the whole thing. Because it's such a tiny cake, just add the whole thing. And give it a coffee chaser, the remaining of your coffee. So normally it's dry, followed by wet, dry, followed by wet, followed by dry. But because we have such a small amount, I just divided the flour into half. All right? That's it. That's the batter. Like, so simple. So I'm just going to push it up just a little bit, get everything mixed, and we're done. So at this point, it's beautifully emulsified. And you can see it's lovely. It's a lovely batter. And I'm actually going to use my fingers, and it feels light. It feels almost like a mousse. This cake is so light and beautiful, and you can do anything you want with it. You could frost it if you want. You can not frost it if you don't want. But look how beautiful this is. Let me show you. Let me show you my beautiful cake. So we're going to get our prepared pan over here. And remember, this is an electric mixing bowl, so you want to always go around and under, because you can see a little flour and a little chocolate. Go around. Just give it a few little turns. You don't want to overmix again. All right, see how I see a little bit of chocolate around it. And then get it in your pan. Ah, it's like this beautiful, light, airy chocolate cake that's just right for you. Just right for you and your family or your friends. Or maybe you don't want to share. But it does freeze well too. So you don't all have to eat it in one sitting. All right. Now I'm going to show you what I do to get it nice and smooth. Let me go get my offset. So I get my little offset spatula, and I'm just going to spread it around so you can see. Just get it even, because it is a square pan. So you're going to spread it. I don't spread it like I normally would my round cake pans. If you've seen me on other videos, we're just going to go like that. And you really do want it even. You won't have any humps or bumps or lumps. All right. Very, very easy. Easy, easy, easy cake. Get all that luscious batter off of there. And this is going to go into your 350-degree oven for about 30 to 35 minutes until a small sharp knife inserted into the center comes out clean. See you back. So my just right size chocolate cake came out of the oven. I let it cool, and it took about 30 minutes. Some people may take 30 to 35 depending on your oven. Always look at 30 and check with that sharp, little sharp knife. If it comes out clean, take it out of the oven. And I have a great video on 3 ways to tell when your cake is done. All right. So it is cooled, and you can do whatever you want with it because it's perfect. It's like that little black dress. And now we're just going to up the ante a little bit. So I happen to have some of my beautiful chocolate Italian buttercream, and I just have a little bit left, and it's perfect for this beautiful tiny chocolate cake. I'm going to put some on top, and I'm going to make it look like $1,000,000. All right, you can take something that's very simple and just spread it. Okay, it's just enough to go on top. This is not a cake you're going to get out of the pan. You're going to serve it like you would, like a sheet pan or a sheet cake. All right, see how pretty? It's perfect. Perfection. So we're just going to spread everything all over. And then, you know, you could do whatever you want to make it look that much nicer on top. So I have a little melted chocolate, and I'm going to put it through my parchment bag, and I'm just going to put it through here just to do a little zigzaggy. Of course, you don't have to do this. You can even take some melted chocolate, let it harden, and then crush it. I have a great video how to do chocolate shards as well. So you can do whatever you want. Make it your own. Ooh. But make it your size. All right, so I'm just going to go boop, boop, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until my chocolate ends. All right, just go back and forth and back and forth. You can go the other way if you want. I don't want to. I want to go one direction. There you have your beautiful, just right size cake for you. It may be tiny, but what's this cake saying? I'm fierce and I'm perfect for you and your family and friends. So I hope you become a subscriber. I hope you make this cake. Until next time.